Hi all, it's been a minute here and I'm back and I've been talking to myself for 5 minutes. I forgot, it's been a while that I've used YouTube and I forgot to press the go live button. So today here, what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a production, kind of coding, and we're going to use Zcoder as an example of production coding. So that is what we're going to code, which is going to be a new coding harness, which is going to be a parallel first AI coding harness. So over the last year and so on, I've been doing a lot of coding with Rust. And the ways that I've been working now with AI, the ways that I've been coding Rust is a lot with AI. So about 80% of my code, 80 to 90% of my code, and in fact, even the teams that I manage, are generated by AI. Now, the trick here has a specific twist to it, where actually I do a control first, magic second kind of approach. So the goal is not to delegate to AI that much, it's more to collaborate with AI. It's how to force multiply. So rather to have a prompt and then having the tools like ping pong and having all these tools and everything, which is fine, if it works for you, is great. For me, I like to be part of the engineering decision, discussion, and so on. So one thing that I've been working quite a bit is on this new kind of concept of what I will call workbench programming. And a workbench is basically a unit of work that can be parallelized. So far, the way that I've been coding, I've been using AI Pack. So it's a runtime that I built in Rust. And in AI Pack, you can install Zcoder, which is a pack. And I have a video over there. You can watch a video. And in this video, we have now workbench centric, and we're going to see how it looks like, because we're going to use Zcoder to code Zcoder. And a workbench is basically when you work on a topic, you work in a workbench. And the workbench doesn't have to write code. It can write by itself for a while on the chat, on the plan. And eventually, it should be able to write even in parallel. With AI Pack and Zcoder, we can work on multiple workbench, but one at a time. So it's suboptimal. What I want now is to build a coding harness in Rust, obviously, that will allow me to bring this workbench concept on steroid. And that is where the Zcoder comes in. So basically, you are going to have your project. You are going to have a Zcoder, and it's going to feel much more similar. Yeah, AI Pack and Zcoder feels a little bit off. It's very productive for me and some, but it's a little bit on the outside sometimes. For example, the prompt is a file, and sometimes it's a little bit of odd things. There's a reason for it, but there's also a value to be a little bit more familiar. However, there's also some very good practices in the AI Pack Zcoder that we're going to show, because we're going to use Zcoder to call Zcoder. So the whole thing is a little bit meta over there. And in Zcoder now, the goal is to be able to have this workbench concept, which is a unit of work. And the goal now is to say, well, if I want to parallelize on this, all of these workbenches, I should be able to work on workbench B1 and B2, for example. And as long as there's only one that's right into my project, into my work tree, the other guys can work in parallel. And that is a beautiful thing about workbench working, is that the rule, and it's a little bit like Rust, by the way, it's a rule of ownership of your work tree. If there's can be only one that workbench that can write into the work tree, and it's a little bit more relaxed than Rust, yeah? If there is one that writes into the work tree, then all of the other guys are in read mode. And actually, there will be a benefit to have all, closer to Rust, which is the ownership. Yeah, which is if there is one that writes, everybody can read. Nobody can read or write. And if everybody reads, they can be in parallel. I think in the case of Workbench, we can relax it a little bit. Say, hey, one can write at a time. The other one can still work in parallel in their own space. And then they can work when it's their turn. Now, the beautiful things about this Workbench is that if you want to have multiple AI working in parallel, then you can have the Git work tree. And then you have two work trees, and then the same rules kind of goes, and you can scale like that. So that is something like is very powerful. And so that is a goal of what we're going to do now. We're going to code that from scratch. So a while back, I did a video on my YouTube channel of how to code, or an example of the simplest AI coder in Rust using AI and so on. And so we are going to take this code, which is now on Zcoder, and we're going to use Procoder to make it a full coding harness. So that is going to be this series of videos here that I'm going to do. So let me know if you have any question in the chat. Feel free over there. Thank you, Step here. That is awesome. And then that's it. And so the goal here is, again, to have parallel execution. We're going to be Workbench centric. We're going to eventually support work trees. That will come a little bit later. The principle is control first, is engineering first, and then we scale with AI. And because it's using GenAI, which is my Rust crate, it's highly performant on the way it communicates with any AI model. So we want to make sure we can communicate to anything. Okay, so that is a way. So here it is. If you go there, you should have a GitHub. So right now it does almost nothing. But this is, I don't know why I go to that page. Okay, oh, because I don't have a README, that's fair enough. And so it's going to be Apache and license, and then the source code is over there, and you will see that there's only these three guys. We're going to run it here, and we're going to see what it does. Okay, so if you check this guy out, you will see something a little bit silly simple right now, but by design. So I'm going to have my terminal over there, and the way it works here, and the way that I work now, I use Z. I love Z. And like 6 months ago, I moved to Z. I thought I was going to say, hey, it's going to be 2 weeks, and then I will be back to VS Code. And it's just so fast. And yes, it's not as complete as VS Code. And I thought I was going to miss a lot of things of VS Code. But at the end of the day, I don't. And it's just so fast that everything I do now is with Z, from, corporate meetings or everything. I always do Z, and with AI and everything. So it's an amazing tool. It's super fast. And now the next tab that I have as well is Alacrity as terminal, because I love the way that it's a kind of a frameless. And then I have Tmux. So the problem of Tmux is you lose a lot of the Alacrity GPU kind of things. But it's not only for the tabs and the split. I have these little things over there, which is very nice. It's not only for that, it's also because it's scriptable. So you can go to GitHub and everything. I have my config and everything of Z and Alacrity and Tmux actually. So I put everything there, and I can script it. So now I have a task in Z that will send, and you will see a command that will find the right Tmux and the right AI pack, and will send R there. So it's funny because now I have that outside, but it's like I have it inside Z. So with a couple of commands I have, which is nice. So for example, if I move that there, and then I do Command Shift G, then, oops, sorry, if I go there and I do this keyboard, then you will see, boom, goes there. So I always place it there, or I can place it below if I want. So that is the way I work now, and it works very well. The first thing that I do usually when I do that, and we're going to do a cargo run here. So we're going to do a cargo run. And that is going to be our prompt over there. And again, it's going to change a lot, because right now I'm using, if you go look at Rust, I'm using Clab, so that will stay there. And I'm using Inquire. It's a little library to have a nice prompt and everything. Yeah, so this is a nice one, but we're going to move to Ratatouille. And when I do a prompt here, I could say, and you're going to say it's not going to work, but why is the sky red? I don't want to be doomed, but like that. And then I'm going to do be concise. And here should be a kaboom, I think, because there's no flash and everything. So I like a lot flash previews. That is what is more or less hard-coded over there. I have a little script that put my keys without showing them from my keychain. And in fact, Zcoder will have a key management as well. So we're going to add that later, such as I want Zcoder to be much more user-friendly. AI pack is a little bit rough on the edge. Zcoder, I want to have a nice experience. So we're going to use that first, is how to use Rust and Ratatouille, and we're going to store the state in SQLite and everything. It's going to be pretty cool. Anything again, if you have any question, and I'm sorry about that, and this one, I can close that. Okay, so now we do a cargo run. So now I have the key, so now I do a cargo run. I do this, prompt, why is the sky red, question mark, be concise. And that will send the AI, and I get the AI. So that's pretty cool. And in fact, because in the code, you will see in the code, it's pretty nice. So a lot of things that I use in AI Pack and Procoder for production coding, we're going to bring a lot of things into Zcoder. And in fact, in AI Pack, I already kind of changed that. That is UDFX, which is a LLM optimized patch format. In a way, you can see it like this, and it works extremely well. It's pretty cool. So now with like nothing line of code, so I hardcode the model over there, I have the code, and I have this 50 line of codes barely. Yeah. And with that, I can actually do something like that with this little program, which is write a Python loop from 1 to 10. And then we're going to see here that it knows, and then boom, it goes to demo dir. Right now it's hard-coded, so very ugly, yes? And then it's going to do that. So there's already quite a bit of little logic to do this kind of file, patch, and all these kind of things that I brought from AI Pack Procoder. So it's not like we're not starting from scratch. From a terminal UI, we're going to start from scratch, but we're going to have a pretty good base. So that is a way, and obviously we want to have a more terminal UI. So the goal here that I want to do, so I'm going to do like that. And just to show a little bit what we're going to do is I want something like that. Okay. Sorry about that. Mocks. Okay. This is very ugly mock right now. I'm still building it, so don't judge me, but I just wanted to share it here to see how it's going to work. I'm using Sketch. A big fan of Sketch. So the plan of the AI Pack here will be to have a prompt like this, which probably will scale up and down. And later, I might even have a web server that you can have a nice UI and stuff, but that we'll see later. But the goal is you will be able to talk to what I call workbenches. Workbench will have this @sign, and that is a workbench. And a workbench will have spec chat. There's a chat guy here. And we'll have a chat.md or .html. I mean, I don't want to enter into the debate here. Chat, spec, plan, could even have PRDs and everything. And in fact, we will have a concept of workspace, workbench template. And so that is a workbench. And the goal here is I should be able to talk to my workbench to create a new workbench. And here's a little log business is to say, hey, there's only this one log. I don't know if log will be the right icon, but the goal is to say that will only be able to work on my workbench. It cannot write to the code. And it can only do that. And this is the way I do everything. And we're going to see a lot in this series here. I'm going to do a live. I'm going to see how it works on YouTube. I'm not sure it's YouTube friendly, but it might be community friendly for the small communities that I have. And the point is that in this workbench, they have their own little work. And so that is what we're going to do. And that is the way I work. You will see with Procoder, I always work in a workbench mode. And I ask AI and I do chat. And sometimes I go from chat to plan or to chat to spec to plan. So that is a little bit the goal. So hopefully that makes sense. And then the goal here of this, it will have a little kind of UI that I can ask to create a new workbench, to delete, to move a workbench, and then probably even to like say, okay, I have all my workbench, I've done my work, start implementing them one by one. So it's going to be extremely powerful, at least for the way I work. And then my goal then later, and I know I've been pushing that a lot, I will go back to my Rust web app, because I'm a cloud guy by heart, and I will start doing like applications using that with a Rust web architecture, Kubernetes driven and so on. So that is the step approach. Okay, so now let's see that we have this. We have the code of Rust. we're going to go back to our Z over there. And if I wanted to show off, I could do something like that. Oh, I kind of do this. And I'm going to say, can you make the loop until 20? So I think in the 50 line of code that we have, boom, 20. Yeah, so it's pretty fast because I'm using Flash. So we already have, because we have this UDFX magic here, and it looks super simple and super small, but I already know, the AI already know how to upload files and how to change files, how to send the files to the AI to change them and stuff. So there's already quite a bit. Okay. But so far, we're not going to play too much with AI. I mean, at least we're not going to code too much AI. What we're going to do is, now we have this CLAB business, this inquire, which is not terminal UI, but the thing that we want is we want to have this kind of UI where we have the bottom bar, and I'm going to remove that guy for now. We're going to have the bottom here. We'll have the price and everything is super nice here. We'll see in the AI pack. We're going to put that below. And then what I want is to be able to have this UI, this panel UI here, these boards in a way. And that will be my workbench. So today we're going to try to do that in Rust using AI and stuff. And the first thing that we're going to do is, I have obviously the CLI. Pack CLI. And so that is this guy. And that's my code of the AI pack CLI. And so I can do another of my terminal over there. So that again is Z, and that is things. And then if I do a Turkey, it's about 60,000 lines of code. Okay, so that is a big AI pack CLI. We're going to see what it does soon. And then what we have here, we're going to see that there's quite a bit of dependencies. We have these guys here for the AI, and then we have SQLite and so many things. Okay, so we're going to learn from that. Now, I'm going to show you, if I go to my Zcoder Rust over there, and I'm going to go, actually I can do this. This should bring the right one up. And the thing I need to do here now is we're going to start AI pack in this folder. So if I do AIP, so AI pack, you install AI pack, and then you have an AIP, you can check keys. You have all the keys, and then you do AI pack, install, pro add coder. So that is a pro coder pack. And then you do AIP, run pro coder. So that is the way today you do. Tomorrow you will do ZC, and then boom, you are back in the thing. So stuff, yeah. And then DC, that will be the command line for that guy. So now that we have that, that is AI pack. And so if you see here, it's a terminal UI, which is kind of pretty advanced. Why screen is black? Oh yeah. Hopefully everybody see my screen. Because otherwise, I think, yeah. So yeah, if you guys can answer Xcoding here, I hope people see my screen. So one of the things here on the AI pack, this is what I'm using. You know, it's my procoder, and it has runs. Okay, good. Step is working. So the way it works is I have this run business, and the run it's a run of procoder of my agent, whatever agent is, and in this case, it's procoder. It happens that AI pack is tmux aware. This is why I see this little guy over there, which is pretty cool. And then it says, hey, you have this prompt file. So this is the weird thing. I'm not saying that AI pack and procoder is for everybody, okay? For me it is, but it's not for everybody, I understand it. So now, the way that I design AI pack and procoder is to be file-based. So even the prompt is a file. So now I put .ai pack, so I have it on the Git ignore. And then I have prompt, procoder, and then I put the prompt. And that is where I configure, is what I call a parametric prompt, and then I configure my stuff. It's very advanced. And all of these cool concepts here, I want them back in Zcoder. So at the end, in 2-3 months or whatever from now, I should be using Zcoder for these kind of things. So what we have is we have the knowledge, and knowledge is a static data that I can learn from. One thing I want to learn from is AI Pack, because I have actually pretty good patterns over there with terminal UIs and all these kind of things. And so I really want to kind of suck the data in, make the best practices, and put them into my Zcoder, obviously, because there's a lot of good patterns. And usually, I don't know for everybody, but for myself, when I write code, production code, or even when I experiment or play around, I have some good patterns right and left. Not everything is good, but some is good. So when I start a new project, I would like to extract the good ones to do the new one. This is where AI is king. I mean, this is where we can use it. So again, there's a lot of CEOs or pseudo CTOs or whatever that are trying to make the case that now you don't have to have software engineers to write code because AI can write code. I think they are missing the boat, and they are a little bit on a make-a-wish kind of journey where they were tired of talking to engineers and they say, oh, now I have my free key of doing whatever I want. I think they are going to hit walls. I think AI is where it's very powerful is for people like us, and if you are in this channel, you are like me, that you like engineering and you like stuff, and we want to use AI to force multiply good engineering. And that is where. But if you're not an engineer, multiply 0.1, you don't go very high. Yeah. So the point here is that I have these best practices that I want to suck into the thing. So that is what we're going to do. Then the next one is the context globes. And so in the top context globes is a little bit my working files, the one that I'm going to work. Actually, in Zcoder, that will probably be called working globes. Working globes in Procoder means something else, but we'll have that. And the context globe, this is a file that I write. So I want to give it that guy for now. Then I put write mode true, and that is the secret sauce here, which is the auto context. And here's what I'm doing. So I like flash for this guy and light on this one, as you are going to understand why. And that will basically agentic index all of my source files. So rather to use tree-seater, IST, or some sort of RAG or whatever, and hope for the best that it will index the stuff correctly, I ask AI actually to say, hey, give me the summary when to use public type, public function of this file. And then I put that in a code map. And then every time I ask a question, I send the chat with a code map to the AI with auto context. And then auto context say, oh, you need these files to do this work. And it's like, okay, good. Same thing with knowledge globes. So that is the way it works. Then after we have the workbench. So again, in Procoder, we have the concept of workbench. In Zcoder, the goal is to beckon in and make it like on steroid with all parallel. Right now, I can do a workbench like that. By default, the workbench will go there. What my best practice is, usually I like to do that like this. And I have a dot workbench slash, and we're going to say, let's say, code overview. Okay, this is going to be my workbench. Let's put that. And usually what I do, I always enable chat on it. Again, in Zcoder, I want to make that super transparent. So that will be our goal. Right now is like, you have to know all this ninja trick, okay? Then I'm using Flash. So one of the things here of this approach of Procoder is you are in the control first. You're on the control seat, meaning that you're always in the loop. Now, there's a way with Procoder to do agent that will do a loop for you. It's very advanced. We're not going to go there because we want Zcoder to be able to do that in a more seamless way. But with Procoder, usually you cannot go crazy price. Yeah, you cannot go to a place where you break the bank. Yeah, usually me, I code a lot. And if by the end of the day, I am at $10 using GPT here. So those are alias. Yeah, so Flash will alias to the latest Flash and GPT to the latest GPT 5.5. And I can do GPT. And I can even do this kind of suffix over there. And that will do the stuff. So it's very convenient. And all of these aliases, they are in the .ai pack base, config default. They're over there. Even when I use GPT 5.5, my end of day is at $10 max. When I use Flash, and Flash is amazing at coding, hopefully they're going to release a 3.1 or 3.2 soon, this is a very good model to do. And then by the end of the day, you are 2 bucks. Okay? Light is amazingly fast. We're going to see that here. So this is going to be the thing. And here, this is where we put the prompt, and that is where we put the thing. Here, we're going to put nothing. I'm going to run Command R because I have my little ninja stuff. And he's finding the thing. And in fact, the only thing he did the code map. So 6 files, and he's going through all the 6 files. And now I can see that I have this code map over there. And so I have for every files, I have the hash, I have the time, I have the public function, summary, when to use, and all of that to all these files. Okay, so it's pretty nice, and that is basically the magic behind the things. Again, Zcoder will have that built in. But we're going to use Procoder to call Zcoder. So that's what we are doing right now. It's a little bit meta. I was saying, should I do a video for that? But that is going to be such a big thing that I'm going to do over the next couple of months. I wanted to share it with the community. So now, one of the things that I need to do is I could ask questions. So for example, I could say, now we are in chat mode, and I will say something like that. Do not write any code files. Update chat.md. And then I will say, that is what I call the prompt frame, the header and footer in chat.md. Capture requirement, or capture the ask, I said, and give you answer. And so, for example, here is we are using inquire what will be other alternatives and the pro. Cons. Yeah. And in fact, we're using lib for the term, which one is, what will be the other alternative and stuff. Doesn't even have to be English. Command R, and then I go back there. It does the code map. The code map was already done, so nothing to do. So in Procoder, when there's nothing, it's still one task. There's a reason for that. Then the auto context is say, hey, I'm reducing 6 files into these 2 files. I don't need more. I just need main and cargo, and then that's it. And then this one, I put it into the auto context, to the context file because I'm going to need to write it. And then I go back here and then flash. Sometimes it's getting slow these days. I don't know if they are updating it and stuff. So bottom line is in Zcoder, I want the same similar things, but in a much more Workbench-centric way. And so now we see here, it modifies these files, and I click here, and I save stuff, and it's like, okay, current library, yeah, it's inquire, that's good, the pro cons, the alternative, the logger, and stuff. And so that is awesome. And I will double check these kind of things, but this is a good one. Yeah. So now we're going to do that. And usually my best practice is I'm going to have my terminal over there, and I do like that. That is a tmux stuff. And what I have is this one. I go to my cd.git workbench, sorry. And then in AI pack, I have this create git ignore, which will create the git ignore, one of the best practices that I have, okay, such as it has, this is what, I often use. This is a blanket safe. I make sure I exclude everything except what I want, and then so on. So that is this way. So like this, I can go back here, and I can go git AC, and actually I'm going to go to my workbench. This one was just for fun, so I can delete it. And then I do initial. So what does that mean? That means that now I have one git for my code source, the base, and then I have a git ignore here. And the reason why that is great is because when we ask AI, we're going to see what the AI changed. So one of the practices that I have for my production coding is they are moving to Flash 3.1 preview now. Okay, but we'll update that now. They are updated. Let me see that. I'm going to check. I've been checking today here. I was waiting for the new, because Flash is such an amazing stuff. Flashlight 3.1 is amazing. 3.1 preview. Oh, look at that. That's new? No. This is preview stuff. No, they don't have Flash. It's not out yet. At least it's not there. They're still on the 3 Flash. But anyway. So, one of the things now is I have everything set up the way I like to do. And again, why that's important in the context of Zcoder is because we want Zcoder to do a lot of this plumbing that I've done today. I want the Zcoder to do it, such as people search. I don't have 15 minutes videos every time to explain the stuff. That is very powerful. I love to work with files because I go and then I do this, I change the name and everything. But the problem is the thing is it's kind of high connective on, you have to think a lot about that. And again, you can work at one at a time. Yeah. So now we're starting the big work here. I don't care about Inquire because we're not going to stay Inquire because we're going to go with Ratatouille. Now, on Ratatouille, the thing is, I want to have a good process, and in AI Pack, I have a good one. And so if I go to the AI Pack guy, code base, yeah, so that is this code base. I have the TUI over there. So that was the old one. This is a new guy. And I like a lot what I came up with. It's pretty big, but it's actually pretty powerful the way it works. And we have the core and we have the TUI loop. So I don't need to have an app or a struct. Sometimes people say TUI app and everything. I'm not sure why. I think it still reflects from the Java days where things need to have a type. It's more kind of a loop. And then you pass the different manager or states that you want to do the things. And then when you have a loop, then it keeps tracks of everything. So there's a whole pattern here, which is very thought out. And so, for example, we have an app event handler. So everything that goes to this loop goes through the app event business. Okay, so if I go there, we have this event in the TI core. Okay, the scroll was off. And so this is the event of my TUI. And in TUI, the event is key. And you want to have the loop to loop into one event, okay? And then it will decide. So for example, everything that comes from cross-term will be part of this app event enum. When I do a redraw in the UI, that will be an event as well. I have app action event. I have model event. That is a data event. And that is a hub event. That is something that, I hope that we can get aware of. We'll see. And that is a tick event to do the blinking business. So then once we have that, I have all of this other stream of events. Yeah, like this one, it's a loop that will send it to that guy. So there's a whole business here of managing the event and everything, which is actually pretty powerful. Now, it could be code clean, but I don't want to recode it, and I don't want to spend a day trying to extract the pattern. I mean, I could, back in the day I would, but now we have AI. So the way that I will do, and here, this is not a video it's a video of work that I would have done without the video. That is what we're doing. So the thing I'm saying is to say that I want to extract the good pattern of that guy and trying to bring them into Zcoder. So I'm going to copy the path, and I'm going to copy the absolute path. And I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go to my coder prompt. I'm going to pin this guy, and I'm going to be on top. And that I'm going to put it as a guy like that. Yeah. And then I'm also going to have my Rust 10x. So that's my Rust 10x pack. You do AIP install Pro at Rust 10x. And Zcoder will have the pack as well. I don't know if it will be a pack or Z pack, but it will be the same kind of concept. And then what we have, so this is cool. And one other thing I want to give is probably the cargo to ML. And I know I'm going to misspell stuff, so I want to go back there, and I'm going to take that guy, and I'm going to copy path, and sorry about that. And do that. So that is what I put in knowledge. So again, knowledge, don't touch it, can't write it, can be absolute. Context is you write it, and everything is sandbox in AI Pack Procoder. So I cannot write out of the root folder, this one. I can only write in .ai pack base or that root folder. Now I have the things, and now we're going to see here how it works. So I'm going to remove the prompt, so no more prompt. The below here is the answer of the AI. Oh, there, you see that. So I don't need that. I could do a Command R, but I'm going to go there, and I'm going to press R, this guy. Now we're going to see it's very satisfying. We have the little cool stuff, 32 things. So this is basically the auto context, the code map. So auto context called code map. It costs 4 cents, and we indexed 79 files. That's pretty cool. So now it knows all these kind of things. So auto context didn't do anything because there was no prompt. Now, what I want is I don't want to write code. I want right now to brainstorm about extracting that best practices, such as then after I can write code. So for that, we're going to say TUI, EIP, BP, best practices. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to be on the chat only things. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that guy. Do not write any code files. Update chat.md. The update capture this ask and give your answer. And the reason why I do that, and people say, you know, AI, I hallucinate and everything. It's sometimes a little bit more work adds so much clarity and precision. So in AI, when you work with AI, clarity equals precision. So the whole point, I want to make sure that. So the whole point is to say, when I talk with AI, if there's a little sentence, few words that I can add to add clarity, let's not be cheap. Yeah, I mean, our tokens is not that expensive. So that's what I like to do. So now I do that. I'm going to say, hey, can you extract the best practices that I have in the TUI? Now, I have quite a bit of stuff over there. So the thing I'm thinking in my head is to say, hey, I'm going to ask more to say, I can say like this, can you, I don't know what I say, extract the best practices of the AI pack TUI by categories. And for each, tell the relevant files. So I'm going to do something like that. And the categories, I know what they are. They are the event, they are the loop, and all these kind of things. So the things that goes to my head is to say, well, do I want to guide it first, or do I want to let it, give it a go, and then I work later? For this one, I'm going to use GPT on this one, because I don't want to go back and forth and test Flash. Flash could be very good, actually. I don't think GPT will be needed, but I'm being over safe here. And I would actually say capture things like the categories, like, and then we're going to say TUI loop, okay, patterns, the TUI event patterns and types, the view, TUI view. So in my stuff, you will see, and it's pretty cool, I have all this view business. Yeah, the main view, and then they have the views, they have the stars over there. So all the stars are here and constant things. So that helps a lot. This is very good. So I want to keep that there. So view, and I'm going to say view component styles facade stuff, and then others as you see fit. Okay, boom. And then I did a command R, so this guy should run over there, and that will go. So the code map was already done in my knowledge, so didn't do anything. And now we can see that the auto context is going to take 6 context files, and it's going to reduce it. Here we have no files, so it's no big deal. So usually you have much more files in context than in knowledge, obviously. And then we have the 79. So it's going to take the 79 and it's going to collapse it. Now, if I wanted it, if I say, hey, I don't want you to be smart and know that, I could turn off auto context off. And then in this case, all of these files will be taken in account. That could be a strategy. And then the AI, there is no tool ping pong where I can beg and say, hey, you know, whatever. It gets what it gets, and you can cry as much as you want. You won't get any more. So that is kind of the control first. Now it's very nice. Yeah, we see the auto context did a very nice job. It say, hey, you don't need any of these source file, working files. You just need that guy. So this one is a little bit more work. So it's going. So we see that we have the workbench over there. So the workbench has chat. So he knows that, the prompt files and everything. And boom, is done. And we can see that this guy, and we can see the detail here, this specific one cost 19 cents. Okay. And then the other one was like 2 cents, but it was not fair because you could run the same thing with Flash and see the difference. So now I can click on that and I can see what has been modified. And the event loop pattern, this is correct. So we have the implementation and we have the loop. And the implementation is use a single application event channel. Yes, that is true. Yeah, that's correct. So that is what I like to do. I have one channel, terminal events, hub events, and things and stuff, and app events. That's good. Draw before handling each event on the interface reflects the latest state while the event is processed afterwards. And then event loop. Quit handling in the loop. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Use a timer, ping timer that only needs the stuff. Okay. That is a magic to do the performance here. So there's a whole thing about the events. Sometimes you don't need to redraw everything. So I have that as well. And that is pretty good. So all of that is good. So now what I'm going to do is terminal input, handling, and things. So that is actually pretty nice. And it's pretty long, but it's pretty nice. So one thing is I don't want to lose it as a chat. So I have 2 ways of doing it. So first of all, I will go back here. I do this, and this one is because it doesn't think, because I see TUI BP. Best practices is fine, it's good enough. And so now I have that in Git. And now my question is to say, well, perhaps I want that in the main code or not. That's my question of the day here. So we have the chat and the view composition and things. So now what I would like to do is, and here's the way it works, okay? I have in Workbench the concept of data. A data is something that will be added to the auto context as well. And so the things. Now, the chat here is not a chat anymore. In fact, the way it gave me is almost like a best of best practices. Yeah, so it started like a chat. I say it's a chat, but it's actually give me all the best practices of stuff. So here's a magic thing I can do. I can take this guy, I can drag and drop here, and I can rename it AIP, TUI, best practices. And I'm not saying BP here by design, because with AI, when you work with AI, file names is key. because it's free, almost like free token to give semantic context of this file. So that's why I'm calling it like this. Now, the cool things about that is that now I started like that. I can delete that. It doesn't matter. And now I have my best practices over there in the data. I could move it somewhere in my dev. And in fact, one of the practices that I have is I have a practice where I put a dev folder. And then within the dev, I have perhaps best practices. Okay? So what I want is those guys are AI pack best practices, and I want to get my Zcoder best practices. So now I have these two guys. And so my goal here is to take that guy and put that guy here. Okay. So now I'm going back to Procoder. And this is, again, is one thing that with Zcoder, I want to make it. So here I'm showing the way I work, but obviously it's because I've been working like that for a year. So I know all this little trick, and I've designed workspace data, Workbench data to be like that. The goal will be Zcoder to make that much more convenient. So one thing that I have now is I have this guy over there, and I can say, what I can say? I can say, well, there's two things I'm going to say. So I'm happy with that. And I'm going to say, hey, following this pattern, create the first Ratatouille, the simplest Ratatouille UI to follow the basic of this pattern. Okay, so we're going to do that. And so now I can ask it in chat. So we're going to do not write any code, update the chat only, and I'm going to say, following the AIP TUI best practices MD. And that is a magic here. The magic here is that now AI pack is just sending the things back to the AI pack and Procoder, but it doesn't keep magic context somewhere. Everything I send is always in the files. So here I cheated a little bit because I'm taking chat and I removed it. So it's not anymore there. So when it's going to run again, it's going to get a new chat. And then this guy, he doesn't even know he was a chat before, something that got extracted. And now he had this semantics for it. It's like, oh, okay, you have the best practices there. I don't know how you got it there, but you got it there. So now I do following the API stuff. I want to implement a very first step for this app of a Ratatouille following the main view and the loop. For now, just have the cross-term event going to the app event. I think it's called like that. No, I don't like app event. It would be TUI event because eventually I want TUI will be one of the view of Zcoder. But that would be good. So capture this requirement. Give your code design and ask any questions, if any. So the point is to have same functionality, but without inquire and with the Ratatouille pattern. Now it's going to be interesting because in my current code, I don't have the input, the input in AI pack, so I don't know what it's going to say. So now I do that, I do a run, and that will go. And I kept, again, the code map here. There's nothing to be done. Probably one file. Oh, yeah, no, code map, sorry. There's one file, which is this guy, yeah, the AAP best practices. So that is going to do it because now it's going to have that as part of the code map. Now, the cool thing about this code map, and again, we're going to do that, it's only for that things. Yeah, only for that file. For that, for that workbench. Now, the thing I don't understand is why the workbench is like that. If your code is 90% generated AI, are you the owner of the code or is the agent? That is a very good question. And I'm going to tell you, I more or less built the house from scratch. Believe me, I didn't buy it. I didn't build it because I know only to manage keyboard and mouse. And not even mouse, I am trackpad. So I didn't build my house, but I own my house. So it's a little bit the same thing. Yeah. Who writes the things, is it? And when you type it on your keyboard, you don't really, it's still another stuff. I'm being facetious a little bit here. But my point is that it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you part of the control flow? Yeah. Are you the one that are engineering it very carefully? So for example, here, I want to be part of the code design of how I want to have my event base, for example, going to the TUI. I know, for example, that I want to store my state into SQLite. I already know, for example, that TUI, I want this decoder to be coded as a backend app almost. So I want to differentiate the model from the function to access the model and the runtime from the UI, because I should have a TUI, but I should be able to have a web UI. And who knows, I can have a Tori as well. So I know all of these kind of things, and now I'm using AI just to speed myself up. And so in a way, it's still on it, but the one that writes it is happen to be AI or a team member or whatever. It doesn't really matter that much as long as it's the right engineering for the right job. Yeah. So now it does this kind of things. And what matters, I'm sorry, let me put it a little bit better. What matters is who is able and ready to take responsibility. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And so that, I say, step only here is when I do these kind of things, if my boss, in this case, I'm a sales boss, but is not happy, it's a me problem. It's not the AI problem. It's because I use AI the wrong way. So many CEOs here that are saying, hey, I'm writing 20,000 code a week. It's awesome. The price per line of code is 2 cents. Yeah, okay. And say, who owns it? Who has a responsibility of it if it breaks? If my home breaks, it's my responsibility to fix it. And the same thing with code. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that stuff. So anyway, all of that to say that and the other things. The thing I don't like about this is he did the action. And so that is a difference between this and Cloud Code coding and all of this is in this mode, I'm looking at the thing. It's like, hey, do I want that or not? And it's funny, it's a submit prompt. He added those two guys. Input char, clear input. This is actually pretty interesting. And it follows the patterns in a way. I don't know if I will have a char guy. This one is a thing. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Term reader, spawn and async. This is good. Okay, main flow, main UI and stuff. Can be removed once the TUI loop. It's pretty cool. So, question: always quit or shield? Yeah, that's a good question. When up, we're going to do that. Yeah. So if we do this. That is funny. I wouldn't have thought about it. Yeah, because now in AI pack, I didn't have a way to input things, which was something I was going to solve, but data stuff, some things. So input field, yeah, whatever. Should the first UI step execute the model request synchronously inside the UI loop, or should we imagine introducing? This is very good. And so that is actually pretty cool. That is, I mean, I'm telling to anybody, please use AI. I mean, and it doesn't remove engineering. So the cool thing here, he understood. So in AI pack is very concurrent. Yeah, when I ask to do, I'm going to do something silly here. If I am in my Zcoder Rust, I'm going to go to my prompt over there. And I'm going, the stuff is going a little bit too fast. Yeah, but let's say I have TUI. Yeah, let's say I have TUI. Should I go crazy? Yeah, I go crazy. Okay, let's do the whole 60,000 line of code. Okay, so that is going to be a code map of this whole thing, just for you to see the stuff, and it's going to be pretty cool. And I'm going to remove this prompt for now, and then I'm going to go there, and you are going to see what's happening. And I'm going to do run. Okay. Now look at this. This is common stuff. I have like 100 files. So this is because light sometimes is chucking a little bit, but I have a recover. So it's pretty nice because he recover from where it's lost. That is Mr. Light that doesn't go as fast. I have 32 concurrencies, so this is why it's lost. But it recover everything, so it's very nice. But you see the UI is running and I still have everything. So you never want to have the thing in the UI loop. This is not a thing. Okay? Because otherwise it's very slow, and there's much more optimization that goes, because you can have 6,000 line of files and you can still do that. So it's pretty cool. 6,000 tasks, for example. So right now is something like we have that, and this was a good question. So what we don't want, and by the way, the thing I'm doing here is why I haven't done many videos over the last 6 months and a year, because it's tricky. Yes. Is that coding? I think yes. But it's not coding like, hey, let's learn how to do a builder pattern. And it's tricky because there's so many people that did the vibe coding stuff, and then they say, hey, we don't need engineers anymore, and things that when you are coding with AI, it feels that you are falling into this camp, which is not. Yeah, I mean, you give that to a vibe coder, the guy will get seasick after like 2 minutes. No way that a vibe coder will do that. And this kind of question here, I'm really spent time on it. This is awesome question, because I gave him the TUI and he didn't get the rest. Yeah. So the thing I'm saying is usually I do something like that. And so I'm going to do an answer like that. And I'm going to do I'm going to say okay, I'm going to tell you why I do that. So first of all, there's something that really annoys me, is that I don't know why my Workbench, this one should be white TUI. Okay, sorry guys, need to check that. I'm mad. Oh wow. I think, okay, I forgot to do init before, that's why. Okay, so now I'm happy. So now that is white and stuff. So again, these things. I'm going to go here, git log. Hopefully I didn't. Okay, that's good. Nothing got messed up. Gateway of research, learning, and debugging, but not code generating. Well, okay, that's fair enough. For me, I see it as well as code generating. And the reason why is like AI Pack, when you look at AI Pack and everything, for the last 6 months, 8 months, 90% was generated with AI. There's some stuff that AI get confused, and it's not because AI is dumber than me, it's because it didn't manage to get the same context on me. So I had some, not secret weapon, it's because I could print and stuff. And sometimes it was going haywire because it does a common engineering and not always good engineering. That's true. But it's pretty good. So I will defer on that. I understand what you are saying, and it's good as long as your stuff. For me is I want the more generated by AI, the happier I am, because then I can have AI generating the spec as well and the design. But here what I do is I spend a lot of time to review that and even to check the code later. And then once I have the spec and the code and everything is within the patterns, then the time to review is go lower and lower because everything is already in the right track. So at the beginning of things are going to take a little bit longer because you put the thing in the right track. But as you go along, you will flatten the complexity curve, like I like to say. I have this visual to flatten the complexity curve. But again, I understand your point of view as well. So should I do the initial command auto submit on startup, or should I pre-fill the input? Just wait the user to enter something and press enter. I don't like the enter business because if you want multiple line, but we're going to do that for now. And you see here that I see now that I'm happy. I see the stuff. Should file change be applied immediately as they are today? We're not going to show propose stuff. We use Git to do the diff. We are developers. We are not vibe coders. And then we're going to say answer yes immediately. Like today. So now I go there and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a Git command. So in my Workbench, so in this one, in the main repo, I'm trying to be more dogmatic. In this guy, I don't really care. I try sometimes, but this one, Aman is pretty enough. So let me, I have a problem with my brush here. Okay. And now that we have this, I'm going to do, and today was the first one. It was a little bit long setup of the AI pack and everything. In the next videos is going to be faster, and we're going to see, this cadence a little bit working better. But I wanted to give a good context, and it's the way I will have worked anyway. So now I can do this. I still have my clipboard, luckily, and then do not write any code file and stuff. So I think that is. And then I wanted to say in the chat, there's something I wanted to say later. Okay, so. Okay, I'm going to do something like that. And to be honest, is one of the first time I do this is do not write code files, update stuff, and I'm going to do that. Hopefully it will work. Yeah, we'll see. It should work, but no. Chat MD. Look at the AI pack. Code executor and extract the minimum to put in the AIP, TUI best practices. That shows how the executor is separated. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to tell you what goes through my head. The thing I don't like about that is that now it's going to get everything. So this is where the procoder and Zcoder will be the same. It allows you to have very good control. The problem is it will get everything here. The script, the runtime, the exec, and all these kind of things. Way too much things. I don't want it to confuse with agent, the test, and everything. So in fact, the only thing I want is TUI, term. So the term is good. Actually, is it, term, runtime, exec. That is the three guys I want. So I'm going to go back there, and the code map is already done, and that is a beautiful thing here. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to say TUI, comma, this is glob, yeah? Exec, runtime, and we're going to say term. So now I code that code lancing, which means that now the AI will say, okay, I can only see that. Even if the AI begs, he won't see more. Yeah, so that is where I get the full control. I can tell you, and step only one, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The idea here is that you won't be able to fight against the AI as a code generator. Make sure generated code is done in controlled way. Yeah, so this is the things like for me, and I understand, yes, again, and that I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to explain it. And I know I'm going to lose, subscribers or whatever, but it's not a business for me anyway. And I want to share what I think is best for production coding. I do think that AI that we like or not is a transformational things. Now we have two options. Either we let the people that don't know how to code tell us how we should code in the future, and I don't think that is good. Or either we embrace AI, we use it better than them, and we crush them, and we keep good engineering at the right place. That is the two options. So the problem right now is like there's a lot of entrepreneurs, and I see them on LinkedIn and stuff, like coding and stuff. If we don't show them that if we have good engineering and we master AI, and I have one way, other people might have other ways. You might be as productive with Cloud Code or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is we have to keep engineering in the loop, good engineering. And that is not the pseudo CEO, pseudo CTO or whatever that coded back in the days in TI, and now they're like things that they are coder again. We have to show what good engineering is. And if we use AI the right way, we scale much better than them. If we just use AI for copy-paste, we're going to be behind, and then we're going to know very sloppy engineering. So that's our opportunities. I'm a little bit black on white on this one. Now, it's not easy. How much do you delegate to AI and how much you own and stuff? So with Procoder, I'm pretty much in the loop a lot. This is why I do Zcoder, which will allow me to do this kind of work much more faster because I can parallelize all this Workbench. And then I can say, hey, AI, work them. If one doesn't work, do the other guys. And then I have this way of collaborating with AI in a more efficient way that maps my brain. Yeah, so that's my thing. Now the thing, but it's a very good discussion, yes. I'm sorry, I'm going to misspell your name, so I won't be good enough. But Appella. Oh. So this is one of the things over there. And now do not write any code. Look at the IPAC executor, exec, and extract the minimum to put in the data that shows the executor. So that is very important to us because we need to be able, I want to add this one. This is something I'm adding. We're going to see if he's able to write it. I think he can, but we're going to see. I might be missing something. Otherwise, we'll move it somewhere. So let's run that guy. And then we're going to see where we are. That was the auto context. That is reducing. So that is the working files, the context files, the knowledge files. Now we have 12, yeah, because we reduce quite a bit. That is very low, number of files that we have. knowledge files. That's not good. So I can press X to stop. That something is not working here. Oh, okay. Funny guy. No, why? Oh, yes, because no. TUI exec runtime term. Yeah, I don't understand why. I think I don't understand here. Okay, now we're in business. I don't know why I needed that. Something here. Amazing. Okay, so this is cool, yeah? 79 kilobytes to 3 kilobytes, 400 to 36 and stuff. And all of that agentic. I didn't have to do like, because I don't even think that RAG or vector database will work well. So then what you do is AST or three-seater, or you try to piggyback on the LSP, but that is another journey. But this way, it's pretty simple and it's very cheap. Yeah, the code map costs barely 50 cents. Well, this is the thing. Yeah, if that was and I really appreciate the discussion. Yes, Apple. Yeah, app. Sorry. You can use it as you please and truthfully believe that code. If code generated is a black hole, that piece wouldn't even work. Yeah, because for the last, the whole auto context and stuff. And by the way, sometimes this is why it's a 90%. Yeah, because sometimes there's this 10%. If you try to delegate to the AI, you are going to a battle thing forever. But there's so many things I could add because AI generated the code that I wouldn't have added by myself. UDFX being one, for example. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. It's modified this guy. I'm super happy. So now that is the reason why I like to have Git in my .workbench, because now I can check the stuff. And now I can go there and I can go on that guy. And here the UI is giving me spinning a message here on the Git commit, so I can capture that. So AI Pack by design today, and Zcoder would change a little bit that, but it doesn't call tools. It's cool because you can write your own AI Pack, your own UI and everything. And you can put it as sub-agents. But today I don't do that automatically because I'm a little bit paranoid in nature. So that's why I give you the Git commit to copy paste, and then that's it. So now you had this, and now I'm going to say something like that. Now that you have the information about the executor pattern in the AIP best practices, does that answer your question about the TUI and executor? We should never execute. Nope. Now, to your point here, I'm sorry. There's stuff where, like for example, in this TUI loop, the state management and stuff, I know I'm going to have to go and generate by hand. Yeah, so I know that there's a part, and I don't know which one yet. I have my idea, but that I will have to go by hand. By the way, all our work here, we use GPT and stuff from the beginning of this session is 8 cents. That was pretty good. And we did 6 minutes of work and cumulative 13 minutes of work. That is what we did. So the cool thing with Zcoder now is that once we're going to Zcoder, we're going to be able to do this work here and having multiple workbench. Because again, the goal here of Zcoder is going to be having something like that, where I'm going to have those different kind of guys And then I will be able to have here, so that was a bug that I have negative globes. And that is a code pair, for example, or whatever. And I will be able to work on all of this and then check the chat, check the chat, check the chat, and then do the plan, and then happy. And then when everybody's happy, I can say, hey, go ahead and generate it. And then if something breaks, not sure, then I roll back, but at least I can go. Now, there's a big reason why I'm working like this. I will explain later in one video or whatever why I'm doing like this and why I have the things. I've been managing remote teams in a very unique way and in a very technical way because I've always coded way too much for my age and stuff. But there were a process where we had these similar things, with team members. So it's the goal here is this scales very well. And today I'm teaching developers to use that way. Yeah. And in a way here, it's the public forum of that. And first step executor, do not execute on staff, long-term running the side effect. Yes, to a loop for this project. Introduce. It's not even long running, yes. It's minimum execution first, app event and stuff. Yeah, initial, run prompt. Yeah, it's a little bit on the verbose side here. I don't like the long running. Even the short running is two things. And that is, this is a whole other topic, I'm not sure. But this long running things is, I don't even want short runnings. There's not even short running in the TUI. So I'm going to say that actually, I don't really like that. So what we want, so the way that Ratatouille work is immediate mode. So there's a loop and then it updates all the time. So what you want is like in the loop, you cannot take more than, let's say 50 or 15 or 10 or 15 milliseconds or whatever, because then it breaks the stuff. So up to 30, let's say. So you don't have time to do any work. The only thing that you have time is get the state somewhere from the database stuff, cache it sometime in the states, and then just display. That's what we want. So it's not even a kind of a short-term work. So I don't really like what it said that, and I don't want the AI to believe this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that guy and say, do not write any code files and stuff, and this is fine. This one here, I forgot about that I shouldn't say. And give summary of work done. And in fact, here's the thing. I'm going to do a crazy stuff here. I'm going to remove that. Oh, no, I'm not going to remove that. I shouldn't. That was too crazy. So let me put it back, actually. Oh, no. Oh, but the good news is I have it in Git. That's why I'm happy on my Git stuff. So in Z, you have this cool stuff. You go to Workbench. And then allow the last, but not the... Okay. In the stuff, make sure it is clear or correct that the TUI loop cannot do any real work, just about updating the state. It should be very short. Okay, so that is what we want. I'm pressing run, and that will go. Okay, stuff. Yeah, exactly, Step. It's exactly like a game engine loop, or if you do Canvas in the UI, same thing. So it's retain only. Hey, hello from Romania. So, few people are still staying here. I'm going to do this video no matter what. So even if we are 6, I'm still doing it. We are 6 right now. So that's good. 6 is better than 0. And so that is going to be that. Okay, good done. So now I did the best keys. I can do this. So I don't really like this view. Okay. And stuff. So that is a chat where he added the things. That's good. And that is the things where he added. Okay. I still have my long. No, he removed it. Real work include long running and fast. That's fine. Okay, so now we're going to do, and I'm going to do a git command on this one. Oh, I can do this if I'm lazy. Okay, doesn't really matter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask to write the plan. So I say, do not write any code files because I don't run. And chatmd and plan md. So again, clarity first. I don't care if I have to type a little bit more. Chatmd captures this error and gives summary of work. Now that all is clear in the chat.md, and I'm going to put the plan through here. So that is important because there's a plan rules that explain how to do the plan. And again, in Zcoder, all of that will be much more transparent. Right now, you have to know all of this ninja tricks. So this is what I'm trying to remove. So now the thing I'm saying is to say, hey, do not write any code files. Now that all is clear in the chat.md, create the plan.md and make sure to keep it as simple as possible and following the patterns, the best practice. Now, if I really wanted, I could remove these two guys. Actually, I'm going to keep this guy because he might need the cargo to ML there. Following the TI best practices. We just want the same functionality, prompt below, and answer on the panel above. Okay. So press run. I'm using GPT here because, yeah, I want to go on the safe side. And that will do the stuff. If you have any question, sup bro. I will assume that sup means superb. That's what I'm going to do. French from LA. Yeah, I'm French for San Francisco. Yeah, so there's this thing. And we step here, actually, the back secret is we work a lot on this production coding stuff with AI. So we had so many deep discussions about how to keep good engineering in the loop, but force multiply with AI. And so that is, we are a little bit addicted to that. To the level that sometimes we are doing the same task with different models to see how they behave, stuff. So it's a little bit not healthy, to say the least. And you get the plan. So in the plan rules, you see the procoder, what it does is say, hey, you did plan rules. Okay, I'm going to give plan rules there. And then he added it into the, into the context. Yeah, so AI has it. And then this way it knows how to create the plan rules. And so there's a whole thing that I spent a lot of time to prompt the AI to say, hey, here's a way when it's not done, it's like this. The latest one is done, and when it's done, but it's before this guy is like this. So like this, you do the check mark, and they say, tick, tick, tick. It goes down like that. And now we see the chat. This is why I like a lot this stuff. And Z is awesome again. And then I go to the plan over there, and that is a new plan business, obviously. And terminals and stuff, futures, that's right, okay. Keep dependency channels minimal, step create, and so how many steps? So in Z, you do like this. You cannot fold, unfortunately, yet. The folding is a weirdo guy. They don't fold semantically, but you can do this guy, and you can see that, which is pretty cool. And again, that is not perfect, but I think is the best. Yes, this is my way, for my workflow at least. So 5 steps, that's not too bad. And if it works, I mean, that will be a success of the day, at least from that point of view. Even if we are 5 users, guys, we're like, well, the 5 best. So the thing I'm saying is, we're going to do that. And so I'm going to go there. I'm going to do a git add. And that, again, is something in Zcoder that I want to solve, that it will automatically on the Workbench do the git commit. because this one it's a little bit a pain. I had to remember to do a git add because it's a new file and so on, but it's still working. So now I'm doing that. Now I'm pretty happy, and I'm going to look at the way I work. I look at chat to see if chat is decent or if it's too much noise. There's quite a bit of noise. So in fact, I'm going to remove chat. I don't need chat anymore. So I'm going to remove chat. I'm going to do sad git c, which is commit, remove chat.md. So I don't need chat. And this way, again, is when I work with AI is how to not confuse it. There's a mistake right now that people think, oh, if a model can handle 1 million tokens or whatever, don't worry about what you send it. It's like people, yeah, it's in a way it's more efficient than people, but if you send too much, it's going to focus where you don't want it to focus. So right now, the code design and everything, I think should be somewhere else. Yes, in the API best practices. So I want it in the plan because we did the plan from the chat. So now I don't need the old chat. Now, the new chat will be created before because I have a true here, and then it will capture the requirement and give the summary. So I like to use chat as a log kind of things in a way. So I'm going to click run here. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. So I can press X to stop, which is pretty cool. And now I'm going to say, now that all, following plan.md, implement next step. There's a way with subagent, and we're not going to do that because, in fact, I want Zcoder to handle that, to do a loop, and it will do until you have an error. But you have to do quite a bit of work to set it up and to have post agents and stuff. So right now, we're going to do like this. And again, for the new one that comes here, the way that I work with AI is control first, magic second. So sometimes you spend more time setting up stuff and things, but then the control is through the roof, and you are still handling engineering. So here we extracted the IIP best practices for my AI pack, which is the other project that I have, the big one over there, which is 60,000 lines of code. I extracted everything because I had, in my coder prompt, I had those guys, which was my AI pack. So I extracted the best practices into this data file. I updated the data file and say, hey, update this. And then I created a plan. And then my goal is to create the base of the Zcoder. And the goal of Zcoder is to replace Procoder eventually. And bake this in a much more convenient, practical way. So now implement next step in capture this ask, I will say, and give summary of work done. That's always good. Okay. And now I'm going to do that. On tick data, still learning Rust. So there's something here is how do you learn a language like Rust with AI? And the way that I'm doing it right now is that it's a little bit post-learning. Because the thing is, when you have AI writing so much, it's very tricky because you might lose some of the basics, which is not good. So there's a things here where when you experience and stuff, using AI to write things is game changer. But how do you learn a new language with AI? Should you learn with AI and everything? At the end of the day, you have to type and understand ownership and things. So, Let's Get Rusty is a very good channel. I had some of the videos at the beginning that are pretty deep, the one about Axum and stuff. There's some cool videos there. I have the Rust XP pattern. You can see in one of my best practices over there. I like that a lot. I still use that sometimes, but I use that with AI as well. If I were going to learn Rust today, I'm not even sure how I will start it. So I'm very lucky to have learned before. And I would say, if you learn Rust, learn the hard way for a while. Code it, and then have two types of projects. The painful one when you do by hand, and you try to not really use AI. And actually, the copy paste is good because it forces you to take time and to, go to ChatGPT, ask question, and then you type it. So that's actually good. And then once you have a good thing, you can have your real project, and then you can see how you can use AI to force multiply yourself. But again, a force multiplier it's a multiplier. So if you multiply 0.1, you don't go far. Yeah, yeah, the babooner. Yeah, this is one of the reasons here why I stopped a little bit doing videos, because I didn't know. I didn't want to be seen as the other guys that say, oh, when he went to the AI bandwagon, which is not what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's very boring. Yeah, we started at 12 users. We're like barely 5 now. Yeah, so it's not exciting. It's engineering. And it's engineering with AI, so it's kind of this shared kind of things. But all of these people that think they are developers because they can vibe code something and they have something awesome, it's exhausting, and it's frustrating. Yeah. And so what I say, I help companies manage teams and stuff. And what I say to say, vibe coding is great, but it's a Figma plus. And then give it to real coders. They should use AI. I generate 90, 80% of my code with AI. And my team, the new team I start, I want them to start this way, but the control way, and not the prompt and forget, or prompt and come back way. Yeah. So this is a little bit the prompt and pray that I say. Okay, so bottom line is, the guy updated cargo on the first step. That was a nimble move, which I like, And so so now my question to me is, do I do a commit for each, or do I do a branch and then squash? That is always my question that I still have. So I'm going to do a git sc, which is switch create, and I'm going to create first TUI. That's a good one. And then I will decide how I want to squash it later. So I'm going to go this guy, commit there. It's good. So I have these little things that are baked into Procoder. Plus is when you add something, dot is minor, dash is when you fix, bang is when you break, you have API change. I have these little things that I've coded into Procoder. My goal is to give you the keys of these best practices in Zcoder. I could do it in Procoder as well if some of you want that. And so that's pretty cool. And that was 14 cents. That was quite a bit of work for such a little thing. Why he did the knowledge files. That is what it us a little bit. I could use Flash actually here. Let's use Flash. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy that guy also on the Workbench. So sometime I do that. And we're going to use Flash. Let's use Flash on this guy. You're going to see that is so cool. Now I do that and I do a run again. So that's a beautiful thing. And this is a way to do sub-agents such as he runs stuff. So again, the nice thing here is you see what the Workbench has been doing, what the auto context has been doing. So that is a run. That is what we're running. And that is what it needs. So it did the code map. There were nothing to do. Right? No, there were one guy to do a code map. And then he did that. And he reduced, that's pretty good. Knowledge, only 3 files, that's good. And then stuff. So he's still looking at knowledge. That's my strategy of the day. Because I don't know if he captures everything in the best practices. So I'm trying to have that. And then if I go to the plan, and I'm going to pin it, this guy, and I'm going to do a Command B. Command Shift B. And then I will see, and then you are going to see this guy going to that way. And that is pretty good. Any questions? Sorry, I'm going release, please, lacks conventional commits. So I end up changing the prompt for Git anyway. The babooner, you say release, please, likes conventional commits. You want me in are you using Procoder and you want me to give you the templates for the Git best practices such as you can tune it for yourself? If that is your things, I can do that on the next release or somehow. That is the thing which is funny. That is Flash. Somehow he didn't turn this guy. This guy should have turned into a normal check. So that is good, but that's good enough. And then he created that. And he did this guy. And then if I go do it that way. Hey, Jamie, I like your Rust content here. I joined this stream. What the project are you developing? Just a short overview. That's fair enough. Here's the thing. So what we're doing here is we are doing... So right now I'm doing production coding. Most of my coding I do it with AI Pack. AI Pack is kind of a runtime. It has about 150 APIs like this, and then you can build a pack. And then one of the pack is Procoder. And Procoder, you can go to the Substack, it allows you to do production coding with AI. And there's this concept of Workbench. The trick is that now Workbench is so powerful that I want to have parallel Workbench. And with AI Pack, I push it to, and Procoder, I push it to the limit. So I'm still adding a lot to Procoder and fixing and making it better. And it's a coding harness, yeah. But in fact, now I'm starting a new project, which is Zcoder, which is going to be a command line, ZC. And it's a parallel first AI coding harness. And this video stream here is coding it from scratch. That is what we're doing. And we're using Procoder to code Zcoder. That is a way. And the goal here is to be able to have workbenches to kind of work on different things at the same time. That's the goal. So that's what we do. So Ratatouille, command line, and all these kind of things. Hopefully I answer your question. Oh, and you use Procoder. I changed the instruction manual, so I give you me a conventional commit suggestion. Yeah. So what you want, Babooner, that is awesome. So let me make sure that I remember. I will make it in Procoder. It's something I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure that people were that advanced. So I will put it in the Procoder. I can tell you where I will put it in. You see in this guy, cache, I might have templates over there. Something like that. And I will have a Git templates, all my little things that I put in the prompt. And that I will allow you, and I will put it there if it doesn't exist with the default. And then if you change it, then that will be taken into the stuff, and then it will follow your best practice. So like this, you will be copy-paste, and you won't have to change it all the time. I think that is what you want, and I can give you that. And I can even give you that for the plan rules. You see the plan rules? That is my little plan rules here, which I was a little bit disappointed because it forgot to do that. Usually there's this one on the last one. So, and I'm going to give you a little trick here. You see, this guy didn't follow that, but if you do that, oh no, yeah, he did the second step. So if you do that, now he will remember because he sees a pattern in the file. But he should have, he should have followed this because I think I use Flash. He should have that. So, merci bien, no problem, pas de problème. So now we go there. No problem, the daily scroll. So what we're going to do, and guys, we are the top 3, we are the best. So the thing I'm saying is, we're going to do this, I go back over there, git log, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do a cargo build. Right now, I'm not doing a cargo test. There will be a way to say for every step, you make sure that it tests and stuff. This is where I'm going a little bit fast here. And then I'm going this one here and stuff. Now I'm going to check a little bit the code here. And I could have checked it before. Because I am in a branch, I'm not staff. Oh, executor, that's cool. That is... okay, that is a state, okay, of my executor. That's fine. That's fine enough. And that's my TX guy. Oh, I didn't give him events, so he didn't know. I have a whole events in my AI pack. I have this event stuff, which is pretty cool. This guy. And so I normalize my events with these types. I use Flume, but then after I can use others. So I like to have an event at the root where I use the one shot and the bound. So right now I didn't know that, but that's fair. That I don't know why it does this. Sorry about that. Someone wants something. And so that works pretty well. And what else? Give me the error, the main. Well, I didn't put the TUI yet. Okay. Why does he have the loop here? I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to assume he's going to do that later. Okay, I'm going to do another run here. So I make sure that I have nothing here, nothing here. Here I'm looking for the little star here to make sure that there's no commit and stuff. Cargo FMT, yes. So by the way, there's a whole thing here, Babooner, since you are using stuff. I don't want to change that, but there's a whole thing if you want. If you really want it, Procoder is super powerful. Yeah, but it's coming to a point where it's too and it's not approachable enough. Yeah, so people that are patient like you wrap your head around it, but it's complex. But if you go, there's a sub events. So you go here, your sub events. Oh, sub agents. Sorry. And the sub-agents, you can build your sub-agents, and then you can, I need to clean this up actually, and then you can have the on, and you say on start and on end, and then your agent will be called in this different stage. And then when it's called, then you can do a AIP redo. So you can return on the after all a redo. So it's very advanced, yeah, but it's very powerful. So people are doing that. Can do a coder redo. So if you reply a coder redo on an after all of our sub-agents, then it will redo. So then you could do a cargo watch, a cargo FMT, cargo build, everything is good. You do a cargo coder redo and then you redo. But it needs a lot of work. So that's why I'm not talking too much about it. This guy is good. So I go to the plan. And oh, look at that. I'm disappointed. So that might be my prompt here where I could optimize it somewhere. So sometimes I say that, it's like, hey, sometimes it's missing. Yeah? Because what it's supposed to do is this guy is supposed to be just a check. And the green check goes down. If I were going to do the example here. And we see that Flash is working pretty well. Now, if I do this, you are going to see I'm going to use GPT later. And you are going to see that GPT get it right. Usually Flash get it right, so I don't know. This might be tired over there. So I give summary, and then I go here. And I'm going to check the plan. So the plan was this. Okay, created the first TUI module and stuff. That's pretty cool. And then I have the TUI, the event. That's pretty cool. The mode, so I think is not wired yet. And there's a bug somewhere. Something is not working very well. TUI, that's funny. Why it doesn't work? Yeah, this one is grayed out, so something is not wired. It's not wired here for some reason. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. That is a thing. That is a little bit annoying. So the problem with AI is when it starts doing this stuff, it starts annoying, but we're going to see here how to handle that. I have a meeting in 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to go. But, so that is already a lot. It's pretty good. Yeah, overall it's pretty good. So one thing, I have two options here. One, I'll leave it. I'm going to do that. Usually I don't like to do that. I like it to compile all the time, but because I have this 10-minute business, I'm going to do that. Typically, I don't like it. So I'm going to do that. Okay. Well, actually, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do, I don't know the comments. I'm going to do a cargo build. I'm going to see. Nice stuff. So usually I do a cargo, I have a command that put it, but you have to do the 1 and the 2 stuff here. So I'm going to do that and look at this. I'm going to go to data. Okay, build error. So Baboon, that is new, yes. This data stuff, I don't know if you know. I haven't done the video for that. But this is pretty cool because now you do this, you put it there. I like to do a git AC app and commit error. And then I'm going to say something in the current step of the plan. There is a build error. See build error.txt and fix it. Okay. And in the plan.rules, I say, hey, if there is a build error, go to put it as a substep of plan. Oop, we were going to do, I didn't want that guy. I wanted, did it change anything? I wanted to go with GPT. So this is where I change a lot. Yeah. So CodeMap is a CodeMap, guys. I use Lite now. It's so fast. And sometimes it's kind of have an error because I put 32. I'm very aggressive. But then you run it and it recovers. So at the end, you get the whole CodeMap. And it's so cheap. It's laughable. Flash is better. Lite here. Sometimes it doesn't make the right choice. And then this one, I toggle between Flash and GPT. And I'm looking for Flash 3.2 might be better. So this guy will do the things. And so now if I go to the auto context, I should see that my Workbench file, 2 Workbench files, yeah, is going to send the Workbench stuff and the build error. So I'm happy. And I go back there and I have the chat, the current fixed event stream, sample the event reader, stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That seems to be good to me. And I'm going to see if everything looks pretty nice. So, this is super annoying, guys. I don't know if you have. And even if I have my Rust 10x, he still doesn't know AI. And I have in my Rust 10x, I say, hey, you need to do that. And every time he forgets. Yeah. So we have this cool if late chain now in Rust, and the AI still doesn't do it. And it's annoying. Like this one, for example, I think this one could be merged, and then it doesn't get it. It's like, getting crazy. But we'll deal with that later. And that, again, could be a cargo Clippy, and then you put Clippy in the data and say, hey, fix it. And so that could work pretty nicely. So right now, we're going to do that. It works pretty well. Cargo build. Stuff, okay. And then I'm going to put that guy. It's pretty cool, Bamuna. But be careful because you might spend quite a bit of time with the post agents and stuff. But it's powerful once you get it. Yeah. The data folder, Babuna, is something that I added last week, and I didn't have time to make a video. I'm sorry about that, but it changed the whole thing. And this is where, when I did data, the whole Zcoder guy came into mind and said, this Workbench is too powerful. And right now we work one at a time, but what if we could work on multiple? And then we tell the AI, goes and do them one by one. Or we can push them to the cloud and it's like, hey, do a work on this one, work on this Workbench. But we have done the engineering beforehand. Where AI doesn't work is when you let engineering, you completely offload engineering to the AI. That doesn't work. But it's not because we have bonehead that does that it means that's the AI way of doing it. I mean, I don't want to be too dramatic here, but this is pretty cool. So I'm giving you the stuff. So all of this here, Babooner, I like your name. I want that to be in Zcoder. Yes. So in a way, in my little card Workbench, this is awesome. This for me is awesome. This is cool. All of this. So I don't want to lose that, but I want to have a tool fully optimized on that. So it's quite a bit of work. And the reason why it's important to do with AI and best practices, because then after I will take these best practices and then I will put it there as a TUI best practice or as a spec. Yes, I want spec as well. So I'm going to have specs. And in fact, that will go probably to the specs TUI.md, and where I explain everything, where it is. And this way, the AI, when they do something, they look at the spec. And I have the AI working the spec, but then I can write the spec as well. So let's go fast. I have 2 minutes left. Run. So you see that when I am at Flash, you see this one is, you have these little things. I'm going to make it bigger, but there were one failed files here. So sometimes it happens, a hunk doesn't get updated. There's an easy way to fix it, but that's why he didn't get the right thing. But he fixed it. That's good. And now, by the way, I want to remove that guy because I don't want to confuse it. So the auto context, that's pretty good. And for whatever reason, it didn't need stuff missing. Oh, no file change. I cannot fix the issue. Oh, yeah. Oh, you see, it got confused. Okay, that's fine. Oh, sorry, guys. In plan. Yeah, so I have 2 mistakes. I had left it and the prompt was there. So obviously it got confused. Any question? Yeah. None of the LLM do the letter. Yeah, I agree with that. But it's annoying, yes? I mean, if you look at my Rust 10x in the base, I say, hey, like do this and stuff, and it still doesn't do, and sometimes it doesn't get picked up. I need to change my Rust 10x. I'm trying to have my Rust 10x. I try so many things and still don't get it. And so this is a little bit frustrating. Where am I? It's a baboon. Are you French? Because if you are French, it's super late for you. Anyway, where are we on the plan? Okay, I'm going to go super fast. I'm sorry here. I'm going to, because I have a meeting literally 2 minutes here, and it's with one of my clients, so I can. None of the lemons do. When I put knowledge post-it, always work. Oh, okay. Moroccan. Okay, that's cool. I live in New York. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Okay. Well, the top 6 programmer left on the planet. It's pretty good. And boom. Okay. And then I hate it because I'm going to have to, this is so stressful. Replace all interactive loop. If it works, I mean, I don't think it will work, but whatever. I am in a branch, so I'm okay to do these kind of things. And then, so that's it, yeah? Now you see GPT went better at following the stuff. And then I'm going to go there, and I'm going to do cargo run. Yeah, pitch. I don't need it. I'm just checking these guys. Yeah. So I have a keys. IP run. IP cargo run. Oh, not pretty good. Why is the sky red? Be concise. Hey, I'm telling you. And we have the best practices. So now the next stuff I will do when I'm going to disappear is I'm going to ask, extract that guy into spec-tui.md. Then boom, we have it. Okay, with that, I'm sorry guys, I have to go. Hopefully that was good. We are going to do another one later when I have time. And please embrace UIs. It's not because some bonehead or things that they are developer by using vibe coding or whatever that we shouldn't fully embrace it. Let's show them how good engineering is done. Until next one, happy coding.